So I just made a video on Lewis Hamilton, why I used to hate him and now I'm a big fan of his and he's my favorite driver on the current grid. But now let's talk about a driver who I never really had any sort of allegiance to. Now I don't really hate anyone in F1. I mean, back in the day I didn't like Bruno Senna because he stole away my Pookie Bear Nick Heidfeld seat. Well, I was like, what, 4 at the time, so I don't think I really hate Bruno Senna at all. And I've been seeing this trend go around on F1 Twitter where people give a tier list of their favorite drivers. This is mine. I don't really hate anyone within the sport. I think being an F1 YouTuber has definitely helped with that. Oh yeah, wait, I'm a Ferrari fan. I despise John Elkann. I'm not gonna make another Ferrari video. I made too many Ferrari videos this year. And another reason why I don't hate an F1 is because I reserve all my hate for basketball. Like, my hatred for the Pacers, Kyrie Irving, the Boston Celtics, the Warriors, it's too much. I can't afford to hate an F1. But my personal opinions aside, today's video is undoubtedly the most hated figure in F1. I don't think he's the most hated figure in F1, because Sulliam and Dominicali exist, but undoubtedly the most hated driver in F1 at the moment, Lando Norris. Before we begin, only 12% of you are subscribed, so make that number higher. Follow me on Instagram, and also follow me on Twitter. I love Noel Gallagher. I remember very clearly in his rookie season, out of all the rookies, Lando was easily the most liked. Everybody in the F1 community back then loved Lando Norris because he was a very easygoing personality and he just seemed like a very relatable person. I mean, he was the perfect figure for the F1 media resurgence, especially to younger fans. And he also had a really good relationship with Carlos Sainz. A lot of people enjoyed watching these two together. Then from 2021 to 2023, a lot of people were rating him very highly. Just look at any YouTuber's top 5 list, and Lando was consistently there, and rightfully so. I thought his performances in these years were really good and stacked up against good teammates like Daniel Ricciardo, who in fairness was completely washed at that time, but we don't talk about that. Just saying, Lando put that dog water of a McLaren onto the podium in 2022. A car that did not deserve to be on the podium at all, and that was like the only midfield podium from that year. So his performances in this era should be respected. But there is one race from this era that kind of started the Lando Norris hate train.
And Hamilton takes the lead of the race as Lando Norris slides off the track.
Yes, I said from this era people started to rate Lando very highly, but it's also where the hate kinda started, especially after Sochi 21, when he blatantly ignored his engineer Will Joseph to come into the box, and it ended up being the completely wrong decision, and he could have easily won that race had he boxed for the Inters. This is where the ego and the cockiness allegations start to begin. He's no longer this sweet, loving, fun guy that we all grew to love, and he's now sort of a
knobhead. You don't need it. I'll have you a knobhead.
Lando Norris finally won his first ever F1 race at the 2024 Miami Grand Prix. Normally, a driver's first win would be a feel-good moment for everyone. This is not the case. A lot of people were saying that this was a fraudulent win since he got very lucky with a late safety car thanks to Kevin Magnussen and Logan Sargent. Speaking of Logan Sargent, Williams have their own grandstand for Miami next year. Why didn't they do this a year earlier when they actually had a Florida native on their team? Now here's my stance on Lando Norris' win at the 2024 Miami Grand Prix. A win is a win. Doesn't matter how he gets it, Spa 98 can literally happen to the entire grid, but still, it is a win. The most people I saw detesting Norris' win were Verstappen fans. My brothers in Christ, y'all literally got your first championship due to a lucky safety car. A win is a win, come on. That would pretty much be the trend for the rest of 2024. As long as Lando Norris isn't 30 seconds ahead of the field, all of his wins would be counted as sort of fraudulent and fake just because he had the fastest car on the grid and that he's not actually doing it with any talent whatsoever. And for Lando Norris's personal case, he certainly did not help it at all. I mean, just look at the constant terrible starts throughout the year. Spain was horrendous, jeez. Hungary and Monza, Interlagos, Austin. I think Austin was the worst one. He barely tried to cover the inside. 2016 Lewis Hamilton would like to have a word with you, mate. I think these two should have a competition for worst starts of all time. But back to the point. Pretty much every time Lando Norris won a race in 2024, people would disregard it because he had a faster car and there were other drivers on the grid who were better than him in machinery that was not as good. I never understood that argument because now we're putting on drivers simply for the fact that they have the fastest car on the grid. I mean, certainly the year before, Max Verstappen wouldn't have won nearly every single race if he didn't have the fastest car. The thing is, Lando sorta did this to himself. Yeah, not really a good look there, mate. And then when Lewis Hamilton tried to compliment them for building a good car, Lando says that
you had a fast car 7 years ago. 7 years ago. You had it. You had a quick car. You made the most of it. Now it's us.
this is the sort of cockiness, ego, and arrogance that people are talking about when it comes to Lando Norris, because he hasn't done much in his career up to this point. Yeah, he finally got his first race win, but these are seasoned world champions we're talking about. Lewis Hamilton is statistically the greatest F1 driver of all time. Statistically, I'm not gonna go into arguments today. And I certainly agree with the backlash he got from the fans for making these comments, especially considering Lewis Hamilton has always been fond of Lando Norris. Go back to one of the Austrian races from 2021 where he complimented Lando for giving him a hard time battling each other, and this was in the middle of a championship fight as well for Lewis Hamilton. But something that I don't agree with is saying that he should have won every single race from Miami to Abu Dhabi. No doubt that on balance, in this period, the McLaren was the fastest car. But there were performance fluctuations throughout the year in this period. Like, for example, Azerbaijan. Ferrari were faster in Azerbaijan. McLaren were so bad in Las Vegas, weren't they? It was one of their worst tracks from that year. Max Verstappen ends up winning 2024 and Lando Norris is the runner-up, which, realistically, did anyone actually expect Lando Norris to win? I didn't. I always thought Max was gonna win, especially considering his lead got up to like 70 points at one point. Would you say 2024 was a disappointment for Lando? I personally wouldn't say that. But 2025 will be his chance to prove the haters wrong. Now, in the mid part of the season, it certainly didn't look that way, especially after the Canadian Grand Prix, running to the back of Oscar Piastri when there was no gap there. If you don't go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver, but if you go for a gap that's clearly not there, your name is Pastor Maldonado. But over the course of the season, Lando Norris proved that he is worthy of fighting for a championship, and Oscar Piastri also proved that it's important to have experience when in a title fight. Lando has been in championship winning form over the past few races, whilst Piastri is still dwelling over the Azerbaijan crash. But even though Lando is in brilliant form, it won't stop the fans from Now, I will say this, booing is acceptable in sports. Why on earth will I cheer for my rivals? Why on earth will I cheer for Kyrie Irving when he's going up for free throws? I hate that guy. Obviously, I'm gonna boo him. And it seems like F1 is the only sport where booing isn't acceptable, but I guess that's discourse for another day. But this is different. They're just booing Lando for the sake of booing Lando. He hasn't done anything wrong. Mexico was one of his best drives of his career, 28 seconds gap to Charles Leclerc. He had the perfect weekend in Sao Paulo, and guess what happens? He gets booed there as well. And I think the one in Brazil is especially disrespectful because they were booing him during the national anthem. That's especially disrespectful to King Charles, Princess Diana, Queen Elizabeth, and her corgis. This is just a testament to the entire F1 fan base at the moment. People are just not ready to see someone like Lando Norris win a championship because the past F1 champions have all been this killer mentality, I hate every single person in my life kind of driver. Like Max Verstappen, Michael Schumacher, Fernando Alonso. Lando Norris is very different to these drivers. He's like a posh preppy kid. See, that's like the complete opposite of killer mentality. And that's also a reason why people really like Oscar Piastri. He's like Kimi Raikkonen. What I hate the most about this Lando Norris hate discourse is people saying Max Verstappen deserves the championship more than these two. No, he doesn't. The driver who deserves the championship the most at the end of the day is the driver who actually wins the championship. Don't get me wrong, I think Max Verstappen is the best driver in the world right now. But it doesn't mean that he deserves it more than Lando and Piastri simply because he's the best driver. He has to earn it. Yes, he's won 4 championships already. There's no doubt that if he was in that McLaren, he would probably win the championship. But he's not in that McLaren, he's in the Red Bull. Same goes for every single season where the best driver didn't win the championship. I think Hamilton and Alonso were so clear of Raikkonen in 2007, but did they deserve the championship more than Raikkonen? Absolutely not. They were shooting each other on the foot throughout the entire season, taking points away from each other. The rightful winner won in the end. Lewis Hamilton, in my opinion, was the best driver out of the 4 championship rivals in 2010. He wasn't the best driver in 2010 though, I think Kubica was, but did Lewis deserve to win the championship over Sebastian Vettel? No, he did not. This is what he did in Monza. Oh wait, I thought that was the worst discourse from Lando Norris potentially winning the championship this year. No, the worst one is saying that McLaren are sabotaging Oscar Piastri. Do you know who's sabotaging Oscar Piastri? Himself, because what on earth was his switchback attempt in Austin? I still think Monza was unfair. They shouldn't have swapped the cars in Monza. And for the people saying that Lando and Piastri should have swapped positions in Singapore, no, absolutely they shouldn't have. Everyone has wanted Lando Norris to be aggressive and put his elbows out, and the minute he does, people hate him for it. Although I don't think this move was entirely clean though. Should've got a black and white flag, but not a penalty. Or definitely not switching the position, but a black and white flag. Now, do I think people hate Lando Norris just for the sake of hating Lando Norris? Absolutely, yes, I do think that. But did Lando kind of cause some of that to himself? Yes, he did. Absolutely, he did. But at the end of the day, who gets the last lap? Yeah, him. He's actually gonna win the championship. I'm still rooting for Oscar, though. Oscar, what's going on, mate? Turn something around. Even if he wins the next 3 races, Lando has to, like, DNF one of them. But, guys, thanks for watching, and goodbye.